Very good afternoon to all of you and a very warm welcome to another NHRD webinar on a very interesting topic, being an inspiring and impactful HR leader. This is going to be a fireside chat between our panelists on various HR related topics. I am Sheetal Bansode, the Chapter Coordinator for National HRD Network Pune Chapter and your moderator for today's webinar. Like most of all other webinars, this one too is divided into two parts, learning session followed by a Q&A session. My dear friends, we want to make it as interactive as possible with you, so please do not hesitate to ask your questions or share your thoughts at any time during the webinar. You can use the question panel on the right-hand side of your GoToWebinar player to do the same. With this, I wish you all a very insightful session. Now, I would like to request the Vice President for Pune Chapter, Mr. Aman Rajaballi, to welcome our guests and take the session forward. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Namaskar, everybody. Good evening. Sat Sri Akal. Vanakkam. Such a pleasure, as always, to be on this webinar with all of you. हम साथ में इकट्ठा तो है नहीं, but इकट्ठा है. एक दूसरे को मैं आप लोगों को देख नहीं सकता हूँ, आप मुझे देख सकते हैं, पर मैं आपको आपका नाम पढ़ सकता हूँ. On behalf of the National HRD Network Pune Chapter, I welcome all of you. मेरे साथ में है मेरे कलीग डॉक्टर नीरज मानकर. He is part of the Pune team. हमारे दूसरे कलीग हैं जो आनंद खोत, वो अभी नहीं है फिलहाल यहाँ पे हमारे साथ, बट उनकी शुभकामनाएं हमारे साथ हैं. सलील मल्होत्रा, दर्पण सिंह, शीतल बंसोड़े. शीतल जिसकी मीठी प्यारी आवाज आप लोगों ने बैकग्राउंड में सुनी, वो शीतल है. शी इज द बैकबोन ऑफ Pune chapter. She manages various activities. ये है on the screen you can also see Mr. अमित नागपाल. अमित नागपाल के दो नाम हैं, एक उसमें से असली है, दूसरे नकली हैं. ये उनकी आइडेंटिटी हाईजैक करने की कोशिश है. The other gentleman who's smiling away is Mr. Rajarshi Choudhury. He is our speaker. Thank you so much. He has joined in from Bangalore. आप दोनों का बहुत शुक्रिया. A little brief about both these gentlemen. कहने के लिए तो मेरे पास बहुत कुछ है, एक्चुअली 4 पन्ने हैं मेरे पास, पर मैं नहीं बोल पाऊंगा इतना सब कुछ. their work, their interaction, their conversation will give you an idea the depth of knowledge, the experience that they come with. And believe me, it is going to be an amazing ride on a Monday evening. Yeah, छोटा सा brief मैं दे दूं आप लोगों को. Amit Nagpal has 30 years of corporate experience. 10 years he spent in sales and the training field. 20 years in the BPO space, managing operations, delivery, customer services, and training and development. Before starting his own organization, Pursuitica, Amit served as the head of training at Infosys BPO. उसके अलावा अमित is a dear friend, हमारे दोस्त हैं, हमारे शुभचिंतक हैं, हमारे supporter हैं. He's been our panelist, our speaker for quite a few years. Whenever there was a need and we called upon him, he was always there. Amit has been is also now part of the Pune chapter subcommittee and providing his insights and his valuable guidance in various activities that we have been doing. So thank you very much, Amit. आपका स्वागत है.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Raj he has 15 plus years of experience all throughout in HR and organizational development. He's worked in organizations like Infosys, Accenture, and Amadeus. Currently, he is the director at Amadeus. ये इन दोनों शख्सियत की छोटी सी पहचान है, बाकी उनका काम आपको बताएंगे. Rest, we will continue to interact. This is going to be a highly interactive session in conversation with both these gentlemen. You people are requested to please type in as many questions as you want, and they have promised me that they are going to answer all your queries and will take this conversation forward. Thank you so much. Have a good evening. Over to you, Amit and Raj. Thank you.
Thanks, Aman.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Aman. Can you hear me, Raj? Aman, just wanted to.
Yes,
there was some.
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. So let me start with by saying welcome to Raj. Welcome to our regular webinar session. And for for a very special reason. I don't want to call it as a webinar. I want to call it as a chatinar or a convenar, whatever name we may want to give, because we are not going to be presenting any slides. We are not going to be presenting any polls, we are not going to be doing death by PowerPoint. So that's the promise that we want to give to all our participants. And we want to make it truly a fireside conversational chat, fireside conversation. So welcome to all of you, all the participants who've joined us. Thank you, Aman. Thank you, NHRD, for giving us this forum. Let me share a little bit of my history with my conversations with Raj. So we've known each other for the last 16 odd years, Raj, is that correct?
Sure.
And
True.
Yeah, it's been a wonderful journey. We've known each other. We've had the reason why we've stayed connected. We see huge value in our conversations. We've had several WhatsApp video calls, Zoom calls over the last so many years. And whenever I'm in Bangalore, I make sure that we meet at MTR, the famous MTR, over steamed idlis. We enjoy over the freshly brewed coffee. By the way, Raj, where's your coffee mug? I hope the participants also have their coffee mugs. Cheers. To make this conversation truly a fireside conversation. And so our conversations have been very cerebral. I've seen Raj evolving as a leader right from the BHR days when Raj and I first met. And then from there, I've observed him evolving big time, and deep domain experience from BHR to business HR, from business HR to OD, and in the OD space, managing large and diverse work groups, and at the same time retaining the passion to learn more, being hungry. So that's what Raj is to all of you. And so Raj, just to set the context about this fireside katta or fireside chat, I wanted to share a quick perspective about I've been writing a book over the last 5 years on experiential leadership, and thanks that it's all done and handed over. The manuscript is handed over to the publisher now. And as a part of this research, I interacted with hundreds of leaders across the globe, including management students. And a couple of things that come out really very, very clear, Raj, and of course our participants to hear, are things like leaders still believe they are directionless. A lot of them responded saying, they need a lot of direction. They need mentoring. Where have the leaders gone? Those are the kind of questions they ask. They are worried about prejudiced minds at work. They have self-doubt. And this is not a generic or a very motherhood statement that I'm trying to make, friends. This is clearly data-driven insight that I want to share with you. And this is across all levels. So I met, like I said, students, the young leaders with 3 to 5 years of experience, mid-level leaders with 8 to 10 years experience, and leaders who are close to 45 years of age group and either heading large organizations, departmental heads, HR heads. So it's a wide range of people that I interacted with. So for seniors, for example, they're worried about pipeline. How do I build my pipeline? How do I retain talent? So there is a clear leadership gap here. So what is happening? Is it just my data, or is it something that you see at your end as well?
Okay, so quite a loaded question to start our conversation with.
You asked for a strong copy.
But before I answer that, so thank you everybody for joining in, and thanks NHRD Pune Chapter and Amit for this conversation. I hope all of you will find some value to take back from our conversation. Okay, so where are all the leaders gone? Now, I'll be very open on this one, Amit. One of the primary qualities of leadership is stewardship, right? Which is you need to serve others before you serve yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the term leader, right? We used to talk about people who sacrifice their life for people who they didn't even know, like Vivekananda, for instance, Gandhi, Luther King, Mandela. But somewhere we have started using the term to refer to people who sacrifice others for getting a higher bonus, right? So the former is the kind of leadership which transcends time and space, and which becomes very resilient during time of crisis. The later is all about looking good this quarter, and as a result, you see as a consequence, you see cracks appearing the moment a crisis hits. So I think we need to rethink our definition of what makes a leader. Is it the internal qualities like courage, integrity, intelligence, wisdom, commitment, emotional maturity? Or is it going to be about designations? Or is it going to be about how big is my room, or how big is my paycheck, or how much bonus do I make? So the first point I want to start with is stewardship, which is leaders need to serve others before they serve themselves. I think that has gone missing somewhere. The next something which I feel is, we all love winning, right? We all love to win. We all are in a win it all culture. But the important question to ask ourselves is, we are winning at the cost of what? Are we winning at the cost of being damaged and being scarred? Is that winning at all? Right? We need a little different breed of leaders who would be very sensitive about not inflicting scars on their people, right? We lose ourselves when we win by compromising the very ideals we are fighting for. And then it doesn't matter whether you win or lose, even if you win. And we see so many winners today who remain a loser in life. Now, from my corporate observations, I do see leaders, we become very fond of sameness. We get lost in our echo chambers. We surround ourselves with people who are mirror images of us, and we build this community of like-minded people. That, to me, is a recipe for disaster. The world is changing so fast and there are so many point of views which are evolving, that if you keep surrounded by people who are just yes sir or yes ma'am, you lose touch with people and their reality, right? As a leader, if you have to be a leader, you have to learn to dive into the discomfort of diversity. You have to talk to and surround yourself with people who have a different view of the world than you do. And that's the only way of survival. And a lot of us leaders are not doing that. And when you get lost in echo chambers, I think you build a personality cult. I mean, as leaders, we help people interpret reality. We are dealers of hope. So no doubt people anchor on their leaders. But slowly, as the leader becomes greater than the institution, or the leader becomes the institution, I think that's where the downfall starts. See, according to me, the primary job of leader or leadership is to focus on institution building. To create an institution which is stronger, better, and more resilient than the one they have inherited. Now, sustainable development is what we need to look for. A development which is sustained. A development which is sustained, or sustainable development, is never the function of one hero, right? Or one leader who has come and revolutionized everything. Sustainable development is only possible through gradual evolution of your institution, of strengthening the basics of your institution. Now, a very, I heard this somewhere, and very true, resonates with me definitely, is in any organization, you have authority at the top, and at the bottom, you have the information, right? You know that you're building a personality cult when you are driving information upwards. When you're driving information upwards to take decision. If you have to strengthen and if you have to build an institution, you have to drive authority downwards. And that is not happening, which is why we see a lot of leaders getting lost. And you said the pipeline thing. If you have to build a pipeline, you have to drive authority downwards, right? Where the information is, where the action is. Then I think, this I think is true for across, is walking the talk. I see too many leaders insisting others to follow rules which doesn't apply to them.
Yeah.
And especially when the leader has become a personality cult, that happens, right? Uh, the leader starts believing that he or she is the reason everything is happening, and we somewhere forget the higher reality that we, and however big and small we are only a part of the system, only doing our role, and ultimately we shall all fade away. So will our ideas, and so will our achievements. What will stay is if we can build an institution. The institution will
Wow.
outlast us. So all in all, Amit, we are all imperfect. We all succumb to the temptations of pride and power. But we don't need to be perfect to become a leader who can transcend time and space. What we need to have is, we need to be aware of our strengths, we need to be aware of our shortcomings, and we need to take the responsibility of getting better each day.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's more than enough.
Wow.
Does that
Thank you.
answer
So
your...
you actually, of course, it was a loaded question, but you answered the follow-up question as well. So while you are admitting, if I understand you well, you're admitting to the fact that yes, there is a huge gap, there is a leadership gap. You're validating it rather. The other thing is that you're saying that you've got to be what I captured, leaders of hope. So that resonates a lot. It's a very profound statement, leaders of hope. In fact, the other day, I was attending another webinar, a very senior industry leader in the banking space, and he said, I'm a very people-heavy person. And I was surprised, what does he mean by that? He says, in this lockdown, in this environment of lockdown, I really miss meeting my team members. And hence, I politely insist, whenever I'm on a Zoom call or a Microsoft Teams or whatever, I make sure that I keep my camera on, so it gives them a positive pressure that they also have to keep the cameras on. So that's people heaviness, and being very close to your teams and having the empathy. That's what you are alluding towards. Sameness. We have to challenge the sameness. The other thing that I learned was another interesting one was this gentleman who was responding to the questions was saying, you know what, sir, thanks to technology, the world, while we think the world is flat, but because of digital, the size of your Zoom dial or size of your go is the dial of people of the organization. So it's kind of, yeah. Raj, were you able to follow my? There's a lag on the internet, so.
True.
So do you want me to repeat that, Raj?
No, I didn't get the last thing. You might have to repeat that. Yes.
Sure, Raj. So what I was saying is that when you go on to Zoom or you go on to webinar, just like we are on GoToWebinar, so we have those two dials where I can see you and you can see me, and the moment you have multiple tiles or multiple windows, right? The size of those windows are proportionately equal. So there is no difference between the window, the size of the tile or window of a CEO versus the gentleman who's at the front end generating revenue for the organization. So that divide is gone. Yeah.
Nice way of putting it. Yeah.
Yeah. So essentially, so you helped answer the elements of how do we plug those voids, becoming really closer to the team, looking at a shared purpose, looking at much larger levels of engagement, deeper level of engagement than just looking at short-term goals. So my follow-up question on that front is that what is the role of leadership in all of this? We all understand. End of the day, we all understand what we need to do.
Okay, before I go to leadership, I just want to tell you something which I'm observing in this leadership space, and which probably is a factor of the current pandemic which we are in. I see a trend which is very encouraging, Amit. I see the rise of everyday leaders. In the absence of heroes, in the absence of, as you said, where are all the leaders gone? In the absence of leaders or the absence of heroes, the idea of leadership is getting scattered. You see everyday people, doctor, nurses, supply chain professional, policemen, people in essential services, they have all emerged as leaders. And they have made leadership a verb again. I mean, leadership is back to being action for the sake of others again. And that is a beautiful beginning, which I want to start acknowledging by. Right now, if I come to leadership development, and I can spend a lot of time there, but let me try to be brief here. So and this is again my observation, is leadership at the core of it is all about ideas, right? Leadership development professionals and leadership development as a function has done wonderfully across the last few decades to bring up leaders. But somewhere we have to be cognizant that we have turned leadership into a process. I'll tell you the difference. Okay. Process is about compliance. Ideas is about creativity, new thinking, different thinking. And therefore, there is some clash in the kind of leaders we are generating and the kind of leaders we intend to generate. I'll explain a little bit on this point. To me, where should leadership development move? To me, leadership development have been about skill building. The focus was on skill building. I think that needs to evolve to character building, because look at what we are looking in our leaders. We're looking at integrity, we're looking at courage, we're looking at authenticity of the leaders, we're looking at their ability and willingness to stand up for themselves and for others. And these are not skills, right? These are not mere skills. These are way deeper.
Yeah.
The approach of leadership development has been that we will give you skill, which is a customer orientation, or how do you manage, how do you give feedback, and all of these are important. Okay, and how do you build partnership, and all of these are important, and make no mistake that they are important and they need to continue. But we need to go a step further. See, how do I manage my customer? How do I become their partner? How do I manage my employees? How do I manage so many things? Is like wearing different shirts, right? They're all above the skin. Yeah. You add them to your personality. But leadership is way deeper. When I talk about character, what I mean is we need to have things which are below the skin. Okay. And if you look at character as such or ideas as such, they represent the way you see the world. How do you see the world? Wherever you focus, depending upon your attention, you see the world. And your attention, where are you able to place your attention, depends upon your intention. And intention all depends upon how aware you are. What is your level of self-awareness? So leadership development should focus on inside of the leader rather than the outside. One key success factor for leadership development is if leadership development has to move to the next stage, it has to do so by doing this. It has to move from skill-based to a character-based approach. And which can only happen when the personal transformation of the leader happens. The leader becomes a better person. The person you are inside translates into the leader you are outside. So you cannot develop a leader without developing the character of the person. So that's point number one. Now, the point number two is quite attached to the everyday leadership thing, which I said. Leadership has to move out of classroom and get integrated into the leader's daily life. We have to create leaders in the realm of their authenticity. I'll give you an example of this. What do I mean by their realm of authenticity? Suppose, let's take A and B. A is an introvert and B is an extrovert. And we are teaching both of them how to entice your customers, or how to connect and build with your customers. A, who is an introvert, will probably do that with very meticulous planning, timely delivery, getting into the details of things, getting into depth, and he or she will impress customer by that method. While somebody who is an extrovert might do that by wooing their customers, by being charming, by putting points across to their customers in a way that is very, very palatable for them, right? I'm nothing against extroverts or introverts, but I'm just trying to explain my point of the realm of authenticity. Now, if you have a training program which has some ABCD how to manage your customers, and you talk about going in depth and all, it will not be relevant for the extrovert. And if you do it by how do you charm your customers, that would not be relevant for the introvert. So the programs today, I see that most of the programs in leadership development that we do are a one size fit all kind of approach, which probably fits the consulting companies because it makes it easier for them. But the corporations need, the organizations like our need, is the development approach for each leader has to be customized as per that leader, right? And that, I think, is the requirement of all corporations, all size and nature. So point one, which I said, which is skill based to character based approach, is where we have to go and redefine the content of leadership development. The content has to focus more on internal work. If the internal work happens, observable behavior changes will come. Point two, where I talked about a customized approach, is all about looking at the cost structures of leadership program. Today, most of the leadership programs, the ones which are really good, are really costly, right? And most of them have been face to face. We need to leverage platforms. I remember, Amit, you were showing me a platform called, the tablet kind of platform where you can Padlet, right? And you can capture that entire program on that, from what has been said, what were each of them feeling, and you can share that with people. I mean, I don't know the cost of that.
120 rupees per trainer per month.
Oh, so we need to leverage digital technology like that, right?
Yeah.
To make customized program for people. And more or less those technologies are there. It's about how do we use it, right? And it has to be a mixture of changing the content and then working on the cost structure and working on the platforms to reach out to as many people as possible. We cannot keep leadership development confined to an elite mass of people. It has to reach these everyday leaders.
Yeah. Thanks, Raj. I mean, it's a very valid point you've raised in terms of self-awareness and cost structure, but you also mentioned about domain, and I come from the domain of both HR as well as business operations, and I think it's important that we maintain a balance between the domain and the internal work that we need to do with our leaders. That's not a question. I just want to leave you with that comment.
Sure.
So moving on from here in terms of the role of, so we've covered that, there is a leadership gap. This is how we need to plug those gaps. We also have to do it internally rather. So a lot of stuff that we do is extrinsic in nature. We have to do things which are intrinsic to us as well. And the cost of learning has to go down so that you can reach the masses, right? So Raj, from that angle, how do we now, move to a next level of making ourselves more inspiring and more impactful? Now that we understand this is what we need to do, what are the other elements? And please do share some of your experiences in the organizations that you've served so far.
So, what I understand, if I understand your question properly, you're moving to the central piece of our conversation today, which is how do you become an inspiring and impactful HR leader?
Yes.
Okay, now let me put some disclaimer on this before I start. So, today I see a lot of conversations around how do we bring artificial intelligence to HR? How do we create better HR systems? How do we bring analytics into HR? What kind of performance management system should we use, and all of that. All of that are extremely, extremely relevant, and we need to progressively keep doing better in all this field. But my personal opinion is all of these are means. They are not the objective, right? They're not the objective of HR. These are means to reach the objective. And there's a lot of focus on the means, and somewhere I feel that maybe the objective is somewhere getting lost. And if you create the best performance management system, if you create great HR analytics, you would end up creating a very, very efficient and very, very resourceful HR practice, but you will not end up inspiring or being impactful. because inspiration and impact is not about the means. It is not about systems. It is about people, right? You're inspiring people. You're not inspiring machines. You're not inspiring,
Machines. Yeah.
So if you have to inspire people, I think as HR, the first thing we need to do is bring the human back in HR. HR has now become or is becoming very, very analytical, very, very mechanical, and all for right reasons, all for the good reasons. But we can't lose focus of the end. The end is about being human, right? About making our organizations more human. So I strongly believe that there is nothing weak, nothing passive, and nothing naive in being human first and leaders second or resources second. Look at it. Look at what's happening in the world or in our country today, right? We're howling for connections which are real. We are howling for connections which are flesh and blood. And the virtual connections have miserably failed to fill up that void, right? As HR, for us, the fundamental faith in human progress has to be the North Star which guides this function. We cannot lose faith on that. We cannot dismiss it as silly or naive, which I see a lot of us doing today. We cannot divorce the decisions which we make in our organization from our innate humanity. If we do that, that will result in collective failure. Okay, so what I think the most inspiring part of being a HR is being able to explore human possibilities, and we should focus back on that. Of course, through those tools. Of course, analytics help in that. Of course, AI will help in it. Of course, a better recruitment tool will help in it. But the focus is that to explore human possibilities and not these tools. They're just means. Right? Tomorrow something better will come, but the exploration of human possibility will not go away. Okay, now as a HR leader, okay, I think you should care very deeply about the narrative of your people. You should learn to listen. And I can tell you from my experience, listening is a skill you develop over the years. Okay, listening and listening deeply, what is being said and what is remaining unsaid, is a skill which you have to practice to listen. And it's a practice. It is, you have to tell your mind that you are listening to listen and not to answer. You are listening to understand, right? And not to throw across your point of view. And when you start listening, you would start knowing the stories your employees are telling themselves, the stories they're telling each other. What are the emotional points where they're getting hooked? As HR leaders, we need to be curious about these stories. These stories are nothing but the culture of your organization. It is your employer brand. So you cannot avoid not knowing those stories, right? It is not, as HR leaders, it is not enough only to know them. You have to own them up. You have to live them. Okay, it's only then that along with the leadership, you can write the ending of those stories. Otherwise, the stories will continue to own you.
And just like they say, Raj, our parents have always been saying that, children observe us. And just like that, I mean, you're being, I won't use the term managed or micromanaged, but there are people who are looking at your behaviors without even saying that to you, right? So if you don't walk the talk, then you've lost their credibility big time.
Yeah. So, another thing, Amit, is, and this is something which I have learned more and more as you become a leader, is you have to be extremely interested in the silence of your employees. There is, in every organization, like in every country across the human race, there are minority groups, right? There are those who are at the periphery. HR's job, Dave Ulrich in his model on HR competencies used to use a word called HR activist. HR leader has to be an activist.
Yes.
And this is my interpretation of that word, how I see it. HR leadership has to be the voice of these silences, where employees cannot voice their concern because of the fear of retaliation. HR leadership has to step in and make those silences roar. we have to make the periphery, we have to bring the periphery to the center. Okay, we need to stand with the minority groups, and there are different kind of minority groups. There are minority groups because of language, because of skills. You know, in a sales organization, back office would be a minority group. In a very technical organizations like ours, support functions would be minority group, right? We need to stand with that group, right? We need to create a safe space for employees to come and share and talk about their issues. We are responsible for creating the psychological safety in our organization. We HR leaders are responsible for it, and that's a responsibility which is, you know, which will make you impactful, which will make you inspiring if you are doing it. If you want to do that, you have to learn to do something which is a very difficult thing, which is speaking truth to power. You know, you have to talk about the uncomfortable truth. Nobody likes to hear it, but you have to bring that up. You have to ask those difficult questions about difficult issues in your organization. Right? There is, and you have to be, of course, you have to be very tactful about it. You can't just be brazen about that. You have to be very tactful. You have to be very sensitive about how you bring that up. But it is your responsibility to do it. Yeah. Go ahead, Amit.
If I may, just, I mean, you not only have to be responsible, just like your intent is so visible to the people. So if you can speak the truth to the power, as long as your intent is Puritan, your intent is very, very clear why you're asking this question, or why you're pushing hard on data or resources, right, Raj?
Absolutely. And that intent, if not clear, has to be spelled out. And that's as a HR leader, you should ensure that you spell that out time and often.
Absolutely.
So another thing which I see, you know, HR folks running away from, but which you know, we humans are emotional creatures, right? We are driven to action by emotion and not by thought. How I act on a particular topic is driven by how I feel about it and not what I think about it.
Yeah.
You know, of course, rationality is important. Of course, reason is important. I'm by no means underestimating that. But as leaders, we appeal to people way more when we appeal to them emotionally than through, you know, when we try to entice them through logic. Let's talk about one thing. Okay. One of the most important thing of running an organization is how you build trust. Trust is a feeling. You can't demand trust, right? You can't demand trust. Somebody has to feel that. Okay, so, you know, given the situation today, let me bring this up. Today, we are living in a world which is extremely anxious. Let's talk about anxiety. Okay, how do HR communicate with people who are dealing with anxiety and fear? Right?
Give them a counselor's number. Give them a counseling hotline number. That's what a lot of HRs, I mean, all of us in our community
exactly
have done.
You know, now you bring that up. That's exactly being a process, following the process and not sharing an idea. That's what I meant when I said it's becoming a process and not a. So, you know, you need to understand them. You need to communicate. Okay, so it could be that they are going through something which doesn't appeal to you. But the only way you can communicate and reach out to somebody who is suffering from anxiety or fear is you have to empathize with them, right? And empathy has got nothing to do with the experience. You may have never experienced what they have experienced. But empathy is about the emotions which underpin that experience. Let me give you an example. We all go and watch movies. I mean, I do, big movie buff, right? When you're sitting in the theater or in your room, right, and watching the movie, and there is something happening with the character, and you start getting angry, you start feeling joy, you start crying with the character. Is what happening to you, is what happening to the character happening with you? No. You are sitting in your room, something else is happening. Why are you crying? Why are you feeling joy? Why are you getting angry? Because you are connecting with the emotion, right? That's what empathy is about.
The mirror neurons, as they say.
Exactly. And that's the connect we have to make. And as HR, we are shying away from emotions. We have to harness the power of emotions, and we have to enable our leaders to do that. And that, I think,
Raj, your screen is frozen, and at least I can't hear you, Raj.
Same here. I think there must be some technical glitch there.
in
Why don't
reality,
we
Raj, are you back? So while we wait for Raj to connect back, I wanted to share with you all a very similar kind of an emotion which was resonated by a CEO of a very large organization that I was interviewing. And he said, there is a myth around identifying, Raj, thanks for,
hey, I'm
you're back.
Sorry.
Yeah, so let me
I'm
just, I was just about to share a concept which I resonate so much with you. And the CEO that I was interviewing, Raj, mentioned saying that it's a myth that we always live with or even celebrate, saying you need more intellectuals to rise to the top level of the organizations. And he says that intellectualism is something that as a CEO he wants to challenge, and he wants to promote the fact that as an organization, as an ecosystem, you need both intellectuals as well as people with the heart, people who focus on employee quotient, who focus on intelligence, skills, on the emotional intelligence, on the curiosity intelligence. These are the elements which are equally required. That's what the CEO mentioned, and your thoughts just triggered those thoughts in my mind as well. So brain and heart have to go together. Yeah.
True.
So over to you, Raj.
And I don't know where you lost me. I spoke about the emotions part, and I was getting into another area. See, look at us as humans, right? Human body is 70% water, which basically means that we have and so is human nature. Human nature is also flowing. We all have we are very layered, right? As human beings, very complex. We're not binary definition of good and bad, useful, not useful. Like we have multiple identities. I mean, I have multiple. I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a HR professional, I'm a teacher, I'm a boss, I'm a friend, I'm all of these. I'm somebody's son. Right? Can I bring my whole self to work? Can all my voices come out? Okay. If you want me to work wholeheartedly, if I have to give my discretionary effort, I need to be who I am, the whole self at work. Right? If you want me to artificially distinguish myself between work and between life, and then you would get only half of me. You would not get the full, right? You will not have me wholeheartedly here, right? To create space, and I think as HR leaders, we need to do this. We need to enable people to come with their multiple identities and explore those identities. It is only when I can come as my full self to work, I don't have Monday blues. Right? Otherwise, it will continue. And that can only happen in physically safe, of course, but a more emotionally safe place.
Yes. Yeah.
See, as human beings, Amit, your, mine, and everybody who is listening in and outside, our primary need is to belong. Right? That's why we create societies. That's why we create organizations. But true belonging can only happen when I am authentic, and also when I can present my imperfect self with all my identity. Right?
Being comfortable in my skin. That's what
exactly
Dr. Brené.
When I don't have to hide.
Dr. Brené Brown talks about. Yeah.
Exactly. When I don't have to hide, or I don't have to be shameful for something which I am, and that's when I will give my 100%. So we HR leaders have to create that sense of belonging.
Enable them. Enable our people. No, that's perfectly okay.
Yeah. It was a long answer to the question.
No, Raj, that's what regular fireside chat is all about. While we order another cup of coffee or some food to nibble, the point that you're raising is so profound and so real. Our job as HR evangelists or crusaders or activists, as you rightly said, is essentially to enable that function, to enable that environment. And you need all kinds of nutrients to do that. You need, those bitter pills to swallow. You need you need to change your processes. You need to look at what kind of people you're hiring. You need to look at training them. And there's a variety of stuff that we need to do together to get there. And so beautifully said that being comfortable and being open about being wholesome. That's what you said, and also sharing your vulnerabilities. Being open about your vulnerabilities. How many leaders today are so open about what they believe is best that they can offer? What are their strengths and what are their weaker or not so areas of stretch? As we say, a better word for weaker. So what are the areas of stretch, and being open about it and saying, hey, I need help in this area, and be inclusive about it as well.
True.
So well said, Raj. Curiosity, deep listening, exploration of the possibility, of the human possibility, and people inspiring people. I think that's very, very important, because end of the day, it's a people connect. But Raj, one doubt I have in my mind, and I'm sure many of our participants on the call, on videos, would have a similar thinking. Not being a pessimist, but being a realist, I think this COVID thing is going to last a little longer. In terms of the fact that I don't think we'll get into 100% work from office in a shorter period of time. So work from home is going to be a reality. It'll continue to be a reality for quite some time. Organizations have realized that they can save millions of dollars by not supporting business travels for a day or something like that. So in an environment where we are slowly getting comfortable towards working from home, or at least becoming a lot more aware of what we need to do, how do you build that connect? How do you get into becoming an active listener, a listener at level 3 or level 4? How do you do that in a virtual environment, Raj?
Okay, so
I hope
since
it's not
you brought... Hello?
So
Amit?
I'm saying,
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you can hear me?
I can hear you.
No, I said, I hope it was a longish question, but I hope you got the thing that I'm seeking,
so you're saying
on
that
behalf of the larger.
How do we connect in these times, right? I mean, how do we connect when we are working from home? And
because these
all
times
I'm
are
talking
going to
about
last
is
longer.
Yeah, all I'm talking about is belonging and connection and all of that. And how do we do it virtually, if I may put your word? So let's talk about, in the current situation, what is a fundamental shift which has happened? There's a fundamental shift which has happened in the way we manage people. We were all used to Tom Peters' management by walking around. We manage people through our presence, our and theirs presence, right? 70% of the communication is body language. So I saw you, I know, I look at your face, or I see your body language and I understand what you are feeling or how you are. That has moved to leading from a distance, right? We are leading from a distance today. And that 70% body language, which was part is missing. And here I would say, I mean, the thing that I have learned is you have to, in a virtual world, become extremely intentional with your words and extremely intentional in your deeds. For example, I walk into office, me and you look at each other. I say, I just shake my head like this. I'm asking how you are doing, and you do this, right?
Yeah.
Done. I know you're doing well. But in a virtual connect, how do I do that? I need to listen to your voice. I need to listen, and of course, I ask you intentionally. But even when I'm asking you intentionally, you're seeing what is happening, right? You're seeing people posting happy pictures, happy videos, and then what is happening to them. So I need to listen to your voice very carefully. I need to listen to the tone. I need to listen to where you pause, right?
Yeah.
Where your tone shifts, where your voice becomes a little wobbly. I need to listen to those. I need to become extremely intentional in the way I'm listening. And we need to do that. Across, we are seeing so many cases of mental health which are emerging, and it's emerging in our organizations also, and we need to be intentional about it, right?
And at all levels.
At across levels, across levels. I mean, mental health has no age and no level barrier. As managers, we need to be anchor for our people in these difficult times. Employee engagement in these times means being emotional anchor for your people. You need to help them stay connected to the purpose of your organization, and you need to help them to find meaning in those connections. I would say very quickly, I'll say 3 points which comes to my mind. As a leader, be authentic. Okay.
Yeah.
Don't become a know-it-all leader. Try to learn. Tell people truth. Don't pretend that you have all the answers, because none of us have. We have never faced a COVID situation in our life. Don't try to control things which you cannot. Stay visibly close to your people, and I repeat this word. You talked about this, the leader you were speaking to who puts his video on and say, stay visibly close to your people.
Yes.
Acknowledge their fears. Right? Acknowledge their fears, but don't dwell in them. So try to be authentic with your people.
Absolutely.
Try to be a container for your people. Try and create a psychologically safe space for your team. Create a space where they can come and share what they are going through. Try to encourage and anchor open conversations, and ask individual what they need to feel. And this is why the intentionality is about. Ask the individual what they need to feel, what they need in order to feel safe in a conversation. Don't assume that. Don't assume because you are going on talking, others are feeling safe about sharing theirs. Right? Ask. Please ask. Okay. And the third point, I think we spoke about this, which is you have to be empathetic in these times. Okay.
Great.
You might not be going through something which others are going through, but please be empathetic with the emotion they are going through. And one point which I want to tell all managers, all leaders who have joined the call is, don't try to solve the problem through empathy. Empathy is not about solving others' problem. Okay. It is about giving them the space, which is for giving them the space to share. That is important. Things will heal with time. Be there with them. Just let them know that you are with them.
Absolutely. So well said, so well summarized. In a virtual world, the way we clap, and I've been learning a lot of how to improve my virtual sessions. So the way we clap is like this. So my claps to you, Raj, if you can see them. So now I think there's lots of questions waiting for us they have been brewing for quite some time, and I think this is a right moment for us to take some of them. And let me assure you, participants, just in case we are not able to take all the questions in this conversation, we are making notes of each of these. We're taking screenshots, and we will come back to you via an email or via follow-up conversation, but we will respond to all your queries. So thank you so much for your inputs, Raj. And one of the questions that I picked up was, while they like the analogy, the values and innovation, one message from Sayantan Dasgupta. He's actually left, but a very relevant question he's asked is character building possible at a later stage of a career, which is typically the time when business executives are considered for leadership programs? A very good question. So I thought.
Very good question. And good that you brought this up, right? So you said Shantan has left.
Yeah. He had some.
I'll generally try and answer that from my understanding. Yes, it is possible. Yes, it is possible, provided the person wants to undergo that change, right? We have seen numerous examples of transformation, of leadership transformation, or personal transformation stories of people at a very later stage of their life who have undergone coaching, who have undergone some incidents in their life. It is possible as you become more self-aware. In fact, if you look at the transformational journey, generally they start at the second half of your life. Right, you live under your emotional anchors or your emotional armors for quite some time in life, And when those armors stop serving you, is when you become a leader. You start getting uncomfortable. You start understanding that who you are is not serving you anymore. The personal journey starts then. The leadership transformation starts then. And that's the transformation that I'm talking about when I say the character has to transform. And not only about, the analogy that I gave about putting in shirts, or not only about building skills. Yes, it is possible. And I do strongly believe it is possible. I've strongly been part of many such journeys, and including myself. And, so it is. Yes.
Yeah. Thanks, Raj. And just to link it with what Vaishnavi Hardas has asked us, and she says that, while she's observed a lot of action in the leadership intervention space, and she's seen coaching as one of the tools being used, as one of the processes being used, but she has some views about coaching. So I'll address the first part of it and then hand it over to you, Raj. Being a certified coach from Coach Training Institute, which is one of the largest training organizations, coaching organizations in the world, what I've learned is that coaching as a process is a lifelong journey. And Vaishnavi, it's not a panacea for all cures, and you can't offer a very specific dose and say, hey, you'll get a quick response, and it doesn't give you instant gratification. It's a process where, what I've learned is a coactive process where both the coachee as well as coach have to coactively work with each other, and it's a long drawn process, but it certainly has worked as much. Over to you, Raj.
Amit, would you just repeat the question a little bit?
Okay, so she says, it's a long question, and I've just tried to summarize it. She says that coaching is a good tool, but she hasn't really seen it giving the desired results, and especially at the leadership intervention levels.
Okay, so I'll just start with some of the point. It could be I don't want to get into a very long answer, but I'll just talk about what is on top of my mind, and I'll give you an example. So first of all, coaching only works when the coachee is ready to be coached. If I sit like this and say, transform me, nobody in the world can transform me, right? I have to be ready to receive it. Only then it can be given. The knowledge is everywhere. The knowledge has been there from the beginning of human civilization, right?
Yeah.
India itself is the country where the knowledge emerged. But are we ready to take it? The coaching is nothing new. Nothing which is taught in coaching is new. It has been there for ages and ages and ages. It is older than all of us, right?
Yeah.
But are you ready to receive it?
Yes.
Okay, so I have seen many transformations through coaching. As fresh as last Friday, I was in room with two leaders, and we were giving a we're having a very difficult conversation with one of the leaders, and his boss had undergone coaching, and I have seen that person transform, and the person kept on referring to his own journey as a support that he wants to extend to his team member, and to assure him that it is possible.
Yes.
And people who have gone through that journey very well knows that it is possible. But are you ready to receive it?
Yeah. And that's where the coactive aspect comes into picture, that both the coach and the coachee have to be actively engaged and involved. So I hope we are able to respond to your question, Vaishnavi. And two people have asked me a question about the platform that you brought in, Raj. It's called Padlet. PAD, P for Pune, A for Agra, D for Delhi, L for Lima, E for England, T for T, right? So Padlet. So if you go to padlet.com, you can build your own nodes, and it's a very integrated, very high on user interface, very good product. And so you can do a DM to me. You can reach out, and I can do a quick demo and help you how, in case you're interested in using it, help you with more details. So Padlet.com.
So just a claimer that none of us work for Padlet or have anything to do with it.
Thank you for saying that, Raj. Thank you for saying that. Just a second. There's another one. Usually, HR leaders, so this is Leena Vaidya. She says, usually when HR leaders are compared with other function leaders, they are viewed negatively in understanding the needs and concerns of the customers. Hey, you don't know us. We are the ones who are closer to the customer. So you better, stay away. So what could be the reasons for that?
Okay, this is surprising, and I'll tell you why is it this surprising for me. HR is preparing or is responsible for hiring, engaging, developing along with the leaders for all the people who will face your customers. And if HR is not aware of what are the customer demands or what does the customer want, what are they preparing these people for? This is a question I would want the HR organization where this is happening to ask themselves.
Oh, I didn't reply back.
I hear some voices.
Yeah, can this person be on mute, please?
बोलिए ना, no worry.
Hello, there is somebody who is talking. Can you be on mute, please? Thank you. So, that's a fundamental question, right? Whichever organization it is, why is HR there? It's to hire, engage, develop people to do what? To do what the customer wants. And if as HR you do not know what your customer wants, what are you preparing your people for? Right, so it has to be a function. Yes, you don't need to go and face the customer every day, but you need to know very, very well what your customer wants and what has been the trend and what are the shifts in their demand. Because if you don't know that, how would you prepare your people for that? Right, so customer engagement is you remember the organization that both of us worked with together. As HR with you, I used to go and make the presentation to the customer whom we were trying to get in. Right? So if I do not go into those presentations and face those questions, how will I know what they want?
The business context.
Right? The business context. I mean, without business context and without customer context and the evolving customer context, how can you be a HR leader?
Absolutely.
Right?
Thanks, Raj. In the interest of time, I'll take one more question and we'll then move on to the rest of the activities of the evening. So this is again an important one, which is raised by Saurabh Nanda, and he says, with HR trying to be the voice of minority, how do we practically implement that intent? Does the silent minority also have an equal impact on the larger organizations? So he's questioning intent versus implementation.
So, to answer back, Saurabh, this is not an easy thing to do, right? First of all, this requires a lot of resolution and a lot of intent on the part of HR organization or the HR leader or any leader. Forget the word HR, any leader, I would say, to give voice to the silences, to bring the periphery to the center. I mean, because that comes with its own set of challenges. When you try and do that, you will feel and you will face backlash from everywhere, right? Especially the majority group, they would start questioning, and then there would be, you would get challenged on data saying, oh, you're talking about people who are only 5%, 10% of the organization. How does that matter? And all of that. But I fundamentally, I spoke about institution building, right? Institution building, let's look at institution building as a car running on 4 wheels. Can you run a car if the back wheel is punctured? Or can you run a car if one of the parts is not functioning? You can't, right?
Yeah.
It will stop. And when you do not give voices to those silences or the requirement of the car, because the other three, the majority is okay, you would not be able to function. So for a sustainable organization, an organization which is continuously developing, right, you have to get the views of all the corners, however invisible they are. And how do you make it possible? It is the intent of the leadership. There is, and that's why I say it's people to people. People in the position of power has to feel it or has to hold themselves accountable and responsible for giving voices to the silences, right? And when somebody comes and talks to you, don't throw them away saying that you actually don't matter. Only sales guys matter, or only my developers matter, or only this part, this function matters. All of them equally matter, and that's why all of us are leaders, right? Because we can see the bigger picture, and we can see why are they needed, right? And I believe that there is nobody in any organization who is not needed.
Yeah.
If
And
the people of the
sometimes,
department,
sorry.
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. I think the latency. Yeah, go ahead, please. Why don't you finish? Yeah.
So, what I was saying, the last sentence was, it's all about rehumanizing what we have dehumanized. Minority groups in organizations, be it sexual minority, be it regional minority, be it skill-based minority, we have dehumanized them a lot. We need to rehumanize them a little more, and that's what leadership is about to me.
Sure. Thanks, Raj. One final comment before I hand it over to Aman to take over, and then a promise to all our 200 plus participants is that we will respond to the questions that we have not been able to take because of the time constraints. However, one last comment from Mr. Ramesh Sood is that asking uncomfortable truth tactfully gets a tactful dismissal. And how much truth do you find in this statement? So do you want to take that, Raj, or do you want me to?
There is only one way: persist.
Absolutely.
Persist. That's it.
Yeah, and that's where the
Amit, one thing I believe in: every minority sometimes becomes a majority. Right? Every voice which is silenced today and is not being heard will be heard tomorrow. It's only a matter of persist.
And also to persist and persist. Absolutely. And tactfully is the right word. And that's what the whole journey, it's the relationship takes a lot of time, relationship building. There is a lot of effort at both ends, and you win some, you lose some, you win some, you lose some, and the journey continues. So what we look at the process, the whole journey. And with that, though I just want to have another pot of coffee with you, but unfortunately we have only finite time. I'm sure the listeners, the participants, including me, all of us have immensely benefited from your perspective, Raj. So on behalf of NHRD and personally me, you've added so much of value to this conversation. Thank you so much, Raj. Another round of virtual applause for you. And I hand it over to Aman to take over the rest of the evening. Thank you. Aman, over to you, please.
Yes, G, I'm here. In fact, I'm trying to see. That's a damn good thing. And I'm sure all our 200 plus audiences also would be doing it. So,
yeah, 230 to be precise. 230 people decided to join in on a Monday evening. So we are really blessed and thankful and appreciate the time. Yes, Aman.
Sandeep.
Thanks, Raj. Thanks, Amit. It was a wonderful session. We are really got very important points like managing anxiety of employees as an HR professionals, power of emotions, then role of coach, which HR leader normally plays. So on behalf of National HRD Network, I am thankful to you both, also the participants who are of the 230 in the numbers. So I thanks all of you, and NHRD Pune is doing tremendous work. We are coming up with new programs on CSR as well as on health issues also. So on 5th or 7th in the next month, we have a program on epilepsy awareness also. So I appeal all the participants to attend those programs also. Your participation gives us a motivation to organize such kind of sessions. One of the point that in CSR we have MOU signed with the NGO called iGift Life. Aman sir, in case if you can just brief us on iGift Life, it will be great for us all.
In fact, let me call upon the lady herself. Is Arnaz online? Arnaz, calling Arnaz.
Yes, sir.
Amit, there you are. Hey, the pretty lady comes in. Amit and Raj, Arnaz is a student pursuing her studies at Prem University, and she has volunteered to help us out and iGift Life for promoting the cause, spreading awareness on organ donation. Give us a brief, Arnaz.
Yes. So iGift Life's main focus is to spread awareness about organ donation. The sole reason being that 8 in 1 crore Indians donate organs after their death. And we are a population of 130 crores. So on that scale, the number of donors are really less compared to the number of people who are receiving the organs. And therefore, there is some sort of disparity which leads to unethical practices. Therefore, we at iGift Life promote and spread awareness about organ donation. To know more what we can donate and how it can help an individual, Sheetal, please can we have the video so that the audience can see it?
ओके तब तक कुछ और बताइए अपने ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के बारे में.
Okay, so iGift Life was founded in 2016 by Tejpal Singh Batra and his daughter Naina Batra, and the sole reason being was that since there is no awareness about organ donation, and people have been engaging into malpractices of organ donation. And this is one thing that we Indians do not have. We need to have awareness about certain issues. And organ donation is certainly not something that we talk at the dinner table, right? So, in order to start the conversation somewhere, we request you to collaborate with us and do webinars with us so that together we can spread awareness about organ donation. It is often said a candle loses nothing by lighting another candle. In the same way, let's spread awareness and light as many candles as possible, right? And it is often said in Hindi, किसी और का सूर्योदय किसी और का सूर्य अस्त किसी और का सूर्योदय हो सकता है. Someone else's sunset can be someone else's sunrise. So organ donation solely depends on this concept. Please excuse me for my Hindi, but this is what my main motive and main intention was to talk about organ donation.
If Sheetal, do you have the video on? If you don't have the video on, no problem. We will show it in the next webinar. But thank you so much, Arnaz, for being with us. And that was a good thing that you shared about Dalta Suraj, Ukta Suraj. Yes, absolutely. There's something else that I want to share.
Oh
yes, of course.
Virtual thanks to Arnaz.
we will remember this. There's something else that I want to share. Now, उसके अंदर ना मुझे screen sharing यहाँ से कुछ हो नहीं रहा है. I don't know. I still am seems to be coming from a stone age or dinosaur. They share my screen. Okay. Now, how do I do that? Are you able to see my screen?
Not yet. Yeah, we can.
You can see my screen, is it?
Yes, yes.
Oh, Shamil Sukoon.
Wow.
Okay. This, ladies and gentlemen, is an interesting program that we are designing. The idea is as it is. आप लोगों को तो सब दिख रहा है कि एक सवेरा जब शाम क्या है एक सवेरा था जब हंसकर उठते थे हम आज कई बार बिना मुस्कुराए ही शाम हुआ करती है. And is it not so true, Amit and Raj, that we get so bogged down with the kind of work pressures that we have, and now more importantly in this lockdown period पता ही नहीं चलता यार. whosoever I speak with वो दोपहर को फोन करते हैं तो गुड मॉर्निंग बोलते हैं, अंदाजा नहीं रहता है. कभी ट्यूसडे को फोन करते हैं तो बोले अरे आज वेडनेसडे है, आज मंडे है. We've lost track of time because we are there's so much of pressure. So at NHRD Pune, we decided that why don't we just have a sukoon bhari sham, enjoy, kick back, relax, have a drink in your hand, or have a favorite snack, or cheers. But this is water, by the way. So yeah, I am not going to reveal more details to you. This is only a trailer that I am sharing this with you. But please block your calendars for the 5th of July. शाम को 6 बजे हमारी फिर मुलाकात होगी और आप नीचे में नाम देख रहे हैं. आपके मेजबान वो है मैं हूँ और मेरे साथ एक हसीन बहुत ही खूबसूरत हमसफर होगी. अवनीत नाम है उसका. वो अभी अवेलेबल नहीं है, वो थोड़ी बीमार पड़ी हुई है. But yes, so this is what it is. Sandeep, you want to share anything else?
Nothing. Yeah, about future programs, in case if you just invite us, that will be great.
Sorry, we are unable to hear you.
Yeah, in case if you can just throw a light on upcoming programs a little bit, it will be great.
Yeah, Zarur. In fact, apart from what Sandeep shared, that we are doing a couple of programs in the CSR field, we also have designed a couple of workshops, skill-based workshops. Women leadership के ऊपर एक है, Raj. Psychology-based sessions are coming up. Analytics, तो of course है. We will be announcing these sessions very soon. So until I think September, it seems that we've blocked our calendars, and these regular webinars will continue. We have one very interesting webinar coming up on the 30th by a lady called Lata and Vinita. They would be having a similar conversation like you people. और उसमें Lata will be bringing in some yoga and chair exercises. She is a specialist, internationally qualified है वो. बहुत ही बढ़िया. She is a damn good professional and a very good human being. उसके बारे में भी. So I think in about 2 days time we should be sharing the details with you people. कहने का तात्पर्य ये है कि please be in touch with us. Please stay connected. WhatsApp, email, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, we are everywhere. Okay? NHRD है, मैं हूँ, अभी तो अमित भी है, संदीप है, Arnaz also, I give live, you can get in touch with them also if you want to, have our contact details. But stay in touch, stay connected. We will be sharing all this information, and believe me, we have some amazing programs coming up. It will be good for you people. सच्ची, मैं और ज़्यादा कुछ नहीं बोलूँगा. Yeah, it's Monday evening. It's been a long day, and we've had this amazing session. So मैं भी एक थोड़ा मौके का फायदा उठाता हूँ. संदीप ने मुझे माइक दे दिया है. So thank you very much, Amit and Raj. It's been a pleasure, and we will continue our interaction. Yeah. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Goodbye. Have a good evening.
Goodbye. Thank you, Raj, Sandeep, Aman, Arnaz, and all of our esteemed guests and participants. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Amit. Thanks, Raj. Thanks.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you. Sandeep, you will be able to take the chat details? We want to respond to the questions.
I think so. We will be able to.
Sir, I have noted the questions, so I will send it to you, sir.
All the questions, have you taken screenshots?
I have noted them down in Word, sir, so I will share it with you.
Okay. And there are some feedback statements as well, right? So we'd like to see that as well, Sheetal.
Okay, sir, sure.
उसी questions पे लोगों ने feedback भी दिया हुआ है, so that will really help. Okay, thank you. Aman, thank you, Sandeep. We'll catch up later offline.
You can copy.
Thank you so much, Amit sir.
Pleasure, Sandeep. Pleasure.
The friendly ghost.
Glad you were able to make it. We missed you. You had difficulty in logging in.
Yes, sir. After all, Jio ने मुझे जीने का एक मौका दिया.
That's a good way of putting it.
That's why I keep a Jio with me. Extra Jio रखता हूँ अपने पास.
It was a splendid
Ali Bharti Mittal साहब.
I missed a major part of it, but yes, at the end I was there.
Thank you, Neeraj. Thank you, Darpan. So, Darpan, can we export the chat and keep it with us, because we want to, respect the promise we made to the audience that we'll go back to them.
I think we can save chat log, Darpan. ये तो chat का है. How about the questions?
Sorry, what I meant was question ka
में-
log.
Yeah, right. I got a point, sir. So questions may we can only try and copy paste them in our WordPad
ठीक है, तो
because
कर
there is
दीजिए
no
भाई.
exporting option as such been available with us as far as I've been trained with it. So I tried copying a question from the question tab and still it is not coming there. So I guess the method that Sheetal has used would work for us, that she has manually noted down all the questions and their feedback.
Okay, all right.
Attendees भी 75 अभी दिख रहे हैं. How can?
Yes, because they are still there.
Okay. ठीक है.
So let's
I
call
was
it a
not
day.
able-
Let's call it a day.
Yes. Yeah, Amit, good fun. It was.
Thank you. Likewise. I'm sure we all benefited as a result of it. So this was.
Definitely.
Thank you. I'll
Great.
give Raj feedback
Sure.
as well. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yes.
Take care.
Bye. Yep.
Take
Bye.
care. Bye.
I think there is a way where we can export it. I just found out the export file where all the attendees and their contact details will be there. So there
Arey,
are
kya
some
baat hai.
questions and comments tab also ahead them, but I'm not sure. I mean, I will be hunting for it, but yes, Sheetal ka idea is the best idea, so we'll go with her idea for now. For further ones, I will do the homework first.
Thank you very much, Darpan. Thank you, Sheetal.
Thank you, sir. Pleasure hearing
Okay,
you, sir.
logging
Thank
off
you.
now.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
Yeah, pleasure.
Yeah.
Pleasure. Likewise. Thank you.